Good morning, everybody. It's Ace of Trades, Thursday, May 14th. The Bible says in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, starting in verse 1, Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also ye have received, and wherein ye stand, by which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless ye have believed in vain. For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures. And that is the gospel. And I've gone over these verses in previous videos, but that's the most important thing, that you understand and believe that. All right, on the chart, the ES is a little ugly so far. I put the overnight high here and overnight low here, and just kind of chopping around in the middle of the range. I will be watching NQ again. NQ will go through these seasons where there's more clarity in it, and you can see how you're getting these swings. It's printing pretty cleanly. A lot of times your NQ will just be like a bunch of like overlapping bars, and it'll move around and so on and so forth. But it looks like you're right now that we're getting clean swings in the NQ. Now that can change as throughout the day. It might get real choppy and ugly, and look a lot. Sometimes NQ will look a lot like this, but I'm just gonna keep an eye on it, and when I get trades and stuff, it might result in less live trades, recordings, because I'm gonna be watching both charts. I'm gonna be using both screens to watch both charts. So whichever one seems to set up better, that's probably where I'll be, focused on taking the trade rather than trying to capture a screen recording. But anyway, so looks like we got a little range here and bouncing up out of that on the NQ. And ES, you're just kind of in the middle of all this. So yeah, we'll be back again later when there's more to talk about. All right, let's just do an update here. So I forget where we were when I was first doing this, maybe around here or something. So we got two legs up into this area ahead is the overnight high, which is not, it's not super clear. It's just the highest point, but it does struggle. Prices do struggle around there. Nothing to enter here, and honestly, nothing to enter all the way down here. You just get a couple legs, pushes up, another higher low, pushes up into that. Um, just chops around here, pushes back out. So, it'd still want to be aware that there's a bullish imbalance in the range. I'm not sure. You can see how these higher lows, just getting the ellipse here. Right, you can see how we got these higher lows forming, kind of called the major higher lows. So you got this bullish imbalance. You keep getting higher highs here. Every time prices make like a major move, they push up higher and they come down lower. So you might have, you could maybe put some sort of guide on here. Let's just do that. And maybe there's something like that forming, who knows? We'll just kind of, you have something like that. You can kind of see there may be a bigger structure here. So you just want to keep an eye on that. Be careful shorting. Looks like prices so far today, they want to be bullish overall in a larger picture. So, but I don't see anything I'd want to trade yet. All right, let's do an update here. So I have this drawn now. It's, it kind of fits. It's just the way the bars are printing though, you're getting a lot of overlap, tiny bars, very difficult to trade. You might look at this as two legs. You're still getting inside bar there, but the problem is at that time, I would have had something like this on there. Remember, we had this larger uptrend drawn and we had highs there. And so looks like you're right into the highs of this. What you'd be worried about is maybe prices having made their way back here, that maybe they're going to fall off and try to come back here. So you don't necessarily know at that time that it's going to do that, what it's doing. But once it didn't go down from there and just kept pushing up and overshooting, then then we adjust our channel, and maybe there's even something, maybe it's even more like, I don't know, maybe it's even more like that or something. It's just when you get these big spread out channels, it's really difficult to figure out what's what, because you get the touch points early on, but then you change this angle just slightly and you're still fitting down here, but it throws you off several points up higher. So you just kind of have to. There's really nothing I'd be doing here. Again, this is one of those, looks like we're in one of those just slow, methodical kind of bull days with lots of tiny bars, not very far corrections. So you might not get a trade all day today, because if this printing keeps up, you want to see something. You want to see the printing change to something that's more akin to like this, where you're getting big pushes in either direction, or at least enough that you're getting separation where you could maybe identify swings. When you're getting this stuff, you can't really, there's nothing you can identify swings. You can always put something on here later and say, that looks like a triple test or whatever, and I'll take that. But it's just, there's nothing you can really do with this. It's just very boring. So all you just do is watch it and wait for, hopefully maybe more volume comes in later and you get more definitive moves and swings to trade. And I just flipped over here to NQ for a minute just to check out what that's doing. This is a little bit better with the movement you're getting. But again, for the most part, it's lots of overlap and stuff. So, yeah, not much to report on here either. All right, just wanted to make mention that you see this channel we have, and now you've got to touch off it. But honestly, something this big, I'm not going to trust that. I mean, you don't even have, you've got like one leg down, two legs down, three legs down. So this could very well take off from here. It looks like it fits really good, but I just I wouldn't trust that. It's not even like the setup you're getting is not even, other than being off this trend line, which are still suspect in my opinion. You're not really getting a setup off it. It's just like you're getting like three legs down, which is not a setup that you'd normally consider. So I'd wait. If this would launch off here and go back up to the highs, then I'd say, okay, I'm ready to respect this channel. And maybe you'd get later on two legs down or something like that. So yeah, I wouldn't do it. When you get a channel this big, and this spread out, when you get a touch this far up away from these other touches, I would not trust that until it takes off and continues to respect the channel. So, and then you'd want to see, a clear setup the next time it comes down or something. All right, let's talk about this a little bit here. So we had this uptrend. I said I didn't like that there. It's not clean at all. It's just three like choppy legs. And honestly, you never know when those little things are going to fail. It almost does right there. It decides to push up real choppy back into the highs. So this is not a strong move up into this trend. And you can see you're coming up short now, and you get two. This kind of looks like two legs, but you're in a short-term trend channel down there. So just draw this like this. So you would not want to take this thing. When you get all these overlapping bars, real tiny, it's just it's not reliable to me. I mean, you can see if you would have went long there, depending on your target, maybe you scrape out of that, but that's it. You don't want to go long there. You just never know when these little tiny spread out channels are just going to fail on you, right? And there'll always be a reason why. That might get marked with an arrow and you can go long there, but I'm telling you that that'll fail sometimes. And this one, maybe that'll even get marked, who knows, because it gets more than 4 ticks, but that will fail. And I mean, ultimately it does fail on you, and doesn't necessarily have to go 4 ticks before it fails on you. And then I would probably look at this channel down. I mean, because of how bullish it is, this is probably, my guess would be this is probably a break for this big channel. So once you get this little trend playing, coming down here like this, and this, breaks kind of awkwardly and pushes down to a new low, this may just start heading up here for a new high, to at least attempt for a new high now. So if this starts pushing up strongly before you hit a new high and you get an entry, you could probably play that if that would do that. So I just wouldn't view this as a bigger channel down right now. I mean, ultimately, when we zoom out here, bigger picture, this looks like a channel up that's got a break now. I think it's probably gonna go for a new high. That would be my guess. Of course, anything is possible in price action, but that's typically what channels do. And when we get, we're looking at stuff on very small levels for the entries that we're trying to get, because this is very difficult to predict. You can't, what is this, 40 to 20, right? You can't take a 20-point stop or something like that, or I'm going to enter here and take a 10-point stop, because that's just, then I'm going to try for 10 points, assuming this is going to push up. It's just, if you got big pockets, maybe you do something like that with smaller contracts or something. But I'm looking more near term, just a few points to try to get an entry. So and the bigger the moves are, the more difficult it is to predict the price action. I mean, for all I know, this could push up maybe to here, and then this makes another leg down, and then what you're basically looking at is this whole move down as a move down on a bigger picture. So the further and further out that you get with price action, the more difficult it is to identify where the true swings are. So that's why you try to stick to real short-term stuff that's very clear. Anyway, so that's how I'd view this in general. And who knows, maybe this chops around here and then it goes up. But anyway, I would be done looking for shorts at this point, especially with this big channel I would assume is in play in some respect. So anyway, that's it for now. I just apologize again I zoom out because it's easier to talk about the bigger context when you can see bigger structures clearly, and I realize that people are watching on their mobiles or whatever, but you have this big trend working up. And even though it kind of fails here and pushes down, I would still kind of view this as a trend that might attempt to find a new high. And so once you get this pushes down, new low, I'd be done looking for shorts. I don't care that this shorting here made a new low. That's not good context to look for a short there. This is so kind of awkward once it gets down here. I'm not really looking at this as a entire trend down, at least on a smaller picture that I would try to trade. So anyway, I'll be back later. See what happens. All right, so this looks like this move down. if we look at this as like one big move down, one leg down, two legs down to a new low, this looks like this correction may be over. So hopefully we could get in something to the upside here, I think, as prices start to try to make a new high for this uptrend. Um, so we'll see. We'd like to see prices strongly start clearing these levels out where maybe there's short stops or something. Um, you don't want to see prices hitting their head on former levels of resistance. You want to see them start closing up strongly. It gives you an indication that this move down is over and now prices want to start going back up in the direction where they were trending before. So this looks like that's starting to do that. So hopefully maybe we'll get an entry that we can get in on something as prices start to push up here for a new high. That's the idea. All right, so not exactly what we want to see here. As I said, you want to see this start clearing these areas, not hitting your head. So you want to keep an eye out for maybe a range developing now in this area with, I'm not sure, I'll just stick the low here for now. You got some resistance there, there. So maybe you got a range here developing now. We'll see, and just have to keep watching the price action. So that was an idea we had, or I should say I had. The price may want to start trending up here, but this is what you want to watch. You make sure prices clear these key levels where they found resistance before, and it couldn't. So, you adjust your thought process, you adjust your plan, and you just wait for prices to show you what they are going to try to do. Okay. Also, if we take a brief look at NQ here, this is about the overnight high, and you can see we've had one leg up, and put that there. Just about two legs up, you can see prices got into the measured move level. It started to chop sideways, then push down. Try to make a couple pushes up. Now it's making a stronger push down, but it is finding some bounce here at the overnight high level. So just keep an eye on that as well. I haven't seen anything on the NQ that I liked either for a trade, so we'll just keep watching that too. All right, so we off the highs here, we hit this, had some resistance here, pushed out of it. You got nothing good here, just chops around and then goes up. Looks like you're forming this uptrend, but run into the same resistance area, and it sells off. And I really don't think you can try to take anything here because of the uptrend. You'd be still concerned, even though you're in this resistance, that the uptrend might try to retest. Anyway, so it sells off. Just drops down. Now it's pushing back up. Price is just kind of seemingly swinging around, not really giving you any sort of support resistance that you can trade anything off of. So just got to keep watching that. NQ. Um, same kind of deal here. You get this downtrend. Breaks, no good entry there. NQ you got to be a little bit more careful with on stuff because it is a little more squirrely on entries. But if you'd have got a setup here, I don't know that I'd have taken it because it's so steep there. But it does break, make a new low, and then now you get a trend up here. Right, and then that does, no retest or anything. It does look like you are kind of in a similar area here where prices, you're running into resistance up here, drops down and you get nothing. So just hard to see what's going on with price action. Nothing you can really rely on for a trade. So we'll just keep watching. All right, let's have a look here. So we're in this range type deal here, pushed out, chopped around, pushed back up into the resistance, pushed back up. And then we got this tight trend back up into the resistance area. You get one leg down. Let me move this. You get one leg down here, and then you start to get this second leg down. You get this bull bar here. You don't want to here. Let's look at it. What it would look like in real time. You don't want to take this here. I mean, you're very close to this swing. Plus, sometimes legs. Remember, price action is layered. Sometimes legs they'll make their leg in the fashion of two legs. So here's one leg down. My rule is that you always want that second leg to get past the first because you view this as a temporary downtrend, smaller downtrend. So you're looking for the downtrend is going to try to make a new low. So if you're going long up here, you're going long early anyway. You can see what happens. You get trapped out there. You can see after you make the second leg down, now I'm not going to go a long way up here on a 5.5 point risk, when the highs are right there. You'd want to get long down here. You'd be hoping that you get some kind of bar like this at the end of this bar so that you have plenty of room to get in, but like we've been seeing recently that, on your second attempts, prices have often been making like a huge bar instead of allowing you to get in down here. And it's, you just have to skip that. I wouldn't go long here. I wouldn't take on all that risk for that, or even try to, some people try to limit in, like they'll put an order back here, but I just don't like doing that. I mean, and then it does push down, you get this higher low. I don't really care for this higher low because you're just in the middle of all this price action. You could just get a bunch of static here going back and forth, and this is not. So, I mean, if you're going to go long right there, I'd stick my stop down here. I wouldn't stick it right there because that's not a protected area. The protected area would be down here. And this is just, you could just get a bunch of static in here as price moves up. Now it doesn't, but that's what could happen. And so you get basically, from here, we could measure it like this. And you get two big legs up and you're into this measured move area. You could also measure it from here. And I mean, you're not in the measured move area, but you don't want to be going long once prices break out of this former resistance zone and start chopping sideways here. That's just not a good place to go long. And then on NQ, I thought maybe we're going to get something here. NQ's price action is a little different. So you have it's not, you're not in the same kind of environment as the other one, as ES. So I saw this one little leg down, push up, second leg down, and I thought, well, if we can get in down here on a bar that like maybe sets up like that down here, then that's a place you can try to take. But by the time the second leg makes an attempt to push up, you're already into the highs. So this is the kind of thing that you're looking for at the end of your second leg. This is like a best case scenario. You get that second leg down, you like a little bar like this where you're getting in right on the end of the correction. So I'm not going to take this now. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe these two little legs are one leg and this is going to try to push up, but I don't know. This is really toppy right here. It's just really sideways, so I don't really care for that. Now maybe this is like, maybe, this first leg is in the fashion of two legs and you're getting a second leg down here. So maybe that will take off from there, but it just doesn't sit well with me. I prefer to get two easy legs that I can read and be sure that that's what it is rather than try to, put this together and say, well, I'm just going to treat that as one leg and we'll treat this as the second leg. So I would just skip that there. I don't have to think about it. If this makes a higher low, then I'd think about it, but I'm just not sure because that would give you more confidence that maybe prices are going to push up here again, but just off that, I'm just not sure about it. So I'm skipping that. But we got 40 minutes to go to the close, so we'll see how it goes. All right, everybody, just going to wrap it up here for today. We just didn't get a whole lot here once we pushed out of this range. We're just chopping sideways, and so it's about 10 till. So just going to wrap it up for the day, and I'll see you tomorrow. And let's check NQ one more time. Said, yeah, if this would have, you know, we got the two legs here, I'd have been more comfortable with that. This may, in fact, be two legs also, with this first leg coming in the fashion of two legs making it up. But I just don't like trying to read through that. And, I'd prefer to just see it obvious rather than to try to say, well, I'm just going to count this as one leg and then this will be my second leg. I'd rather the chart just show me clearly. Um, Looks like there's a range here. Uh, so, but anyway, that's going to be it. I didn't really catch anything. The only place maybe would be, you know, um, some of this hammer here. If you wanted to really, that's a little bit more advanced. It's beyond me to want to try to do that. Then obviously you hit resistance here, but you just never know if this is going to tick higher and push up. You'd prefer to see, um, like a lower high or something like that there. But anyway, that'll be it for today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good one.